So I guess we'll introduce ourselves first.
Sure.
I'm John Renshaw. I'm Student Services and High School Program Specialist at PVCC, which basically means 90% of my day is dealing with a dual enrollment program, and about 10% is doing high school outreach events. So this is-
All right, my name is Roger Burke. I'm from James Madison University. I'm going to bring the four-year college perspective to today's discussion and conversation. Did you talk about background? Did we talk background? My background is really unique. I spent 18 years coaching, and then I spent the last 7 years at JMU, 3 years in international missions, 4 years in Northern Virginia, and now I'm in Central Virginia. So I've got a pretty diverse background. So there you have it.
My name is Kasha Klein-Gorst. I am Assistant Director of Admissions at Roanoke College, so bringing the private school perspective to this conversation. I actually work mostly with incoming freshman students. We have a counselor in our office that also works with transfer students, but I know a little bit about the transfer process and speak to that.
So John's going to take the lead, and we're going to kick in where we can. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to speak.
Since there are no students here, I'll sort of alter it because a lot of the information is really geared towards the students and some is more geared towards me.
So well, since we only have 3 folks, who do we have? Parent, teacher, counselor?
Guardian parent.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a disabled student, so
Okay.
that's a little bit unique. You can try and find the college that's going to be best to accommodate her.
Okay. And
Roberta Palmer, Director of Admissions at Mary Baldwin.
where?
Mary Baldwin College.
Okay, great. And
Tanisha Bagar, Admissions Counselor at Mary Baldwin.
fantastic. All right. Preach it to the choir.
Well, no, you learn something at everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm presenting later, so I need to go somewhere and I want to be here.
All right.
We'll try to answer. Okay, so this is just some basic generic facts about PVCC and community colleges in general. The first one, 45% of all higher ed students begin at community colleges. I thought that was a typo when I first saw it. And then I did more research and I found out it actually is true. In California alone, there are 2.1 million community college students. So more and more kids are going the community college route and then transferring to four-year colleges and universities. 93% of PVCC graduates felt that PVCC helped them meet their academic goals. 82% were very much satisfied with the quality of their academic program. And this is fairly important. Compared with students who started as freshmen at their current colleges, nearly all of the PVC transfers felt that they were either better or at least as well prepared for their studies compared to other students. There's sort of a stigma attached to community college. People have a fear that when they transfer to a four-year college or university, they're not going to be on the same level, they're going to have difficulties. But you know, from all accounts, if you do well at PVCC, if you have good study habits, you continue those, you should be fine. Okay, this is generally talking about the type of students. 40% at least take one online course. 79% are part-timers, which kind of goes towards later on to speak about the flexibility of community colleges. 51% of the student body is under 21 and 66% is under 25. I had a student come up to me and made a reference to community colleges being full of old people. So I had to find this statistic, and I was like, yeah, I guess they consider over 21 old. I don't know nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm really old. Total enrollment, 5,630, but a lot of that is also dual enrollment students, so that's slightly lower that are actually present at the college. And tuition and fees is $141.15 per credit hour, which probably seems like a lot to the students, but in reality, it isn't very much. It's very flexible, part-time, full-time course load. You can take classes in the traditional fall, spring. Also, we offer some summer courses, not as many as fall and spring, but some. Evening, daytime, weekend courses. We offer online courses, hybrid courses, which are partially online, partially in-person lecture, and learning communities, which are 2 classes that are taught by different instructors that have the same class roster, and they're actually collaborate. So it's really interesting. One class kind of supports the other and vice versa. So financial aid is really not my expertise, but I have to mention, for PVCC, when we go through the steps of enrollment, you have to go onto FAFSA's website and fill out a FAFSA form. That will be sent to PVCC, and then your financial aid will be determined. Just like at every school, there are grants and scholarships, which are essentially the same. The only difference is where that money actually comes from. We offer federal work study, which up to 20 hours a week at $9 an hour, which if you actually worked that, it would take care of all of your tuition and books for a semester, assuming you got no financial aid. So that's a really good option for a lot of students. And then, of course, there are the dreaded student loans. Student services, placement test preparation, which is important for students entering PVCC. We highly recommend you take the VPT, Virginia Placement Tests. It determines where your starting point is for math and English classes. We have fully staffed math and writing centers, numerous different tutoring online and in person. And here's where we're going to get into mostly transfer, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. So there are 2 degree programs, Associate of Arts or Associate of Science. Those are the 2 degree programs that are intended to be transfer programs. They can be completed in 2 years. Some may take a little bit longer if you take just 12 credits per semester. So if you know that's what you want to do, you should actually talk to an academic advisor or transfer advisor as soon as you get to PVCC. Associate of Applied Science is an associate's degree. It's not for transfer. And the certificates are more for immediate job placement upon completion. And then you can take individual courses here and there. So the Associate of Arts and Associate Science degrees are transfer programs, and these are some of the programs of study that are within them. A lot of them are common, business admin, computer science, education, engineering. General studies is the most broad program of study that you can take. And we recommend that if a student comes to PVCC and doesn't know what they want to do, and doesn't know what their major is going to be once they transfer, they should start with either general studies or liberal arts, because it's the most encompassing. It has the most classes that will transfer to most of the colleges and universities in Virginia. Liberal arts is the same as Gen Ed, but it encompasses foreign languages, which some schools also require. So it's on a school-by-school basis. It's different. So transfer opportunities. In 2012-2013, 1,685 PVC students transferred to a 4-year college. 90% were planning to attend a 4-year college or university indicated that they transferred to their first choice college. But of that 90% who responded to a PVC survey, their average GPA was 3.3. So it's not like you're just going to get your first choice without working hard. You have to work hard, be studious, and you can have a real opportunity to get into your first choice school. Most common destinations: Virginia Tech, sent 112, ODU 144, James Madison University, who's represented here today, 152, VCU 159, and UVA 276. And we also had students transfer to Roanoke College, but we do not have a guaranteed admission to Roanoke College. So guaranteed admissions agreements. So sort of is what it sounds like. Some people think it might be too good to be true, but each of the schools that I'm going to show you listed on the next page have an agreement with PVCC that if you attain a certain GPA that is set by that 4-year college or university, and you take the classes that they deem you have to take, you are guaranteed admission. So it sort of lays out what you have to do in front of you. It makes it a lot easier. There's no guessing game. If you achieve your goals, you're going to get into one of these schools. And here are some of the participating colleges and universities. I'm not going to read through the list, but you can see some of the more popular ones on there. Mary Baldwin, ODU, Randolph, UVA, VCU, Tech, and there's actually more that are all listed on PVCC's website. Just couldn't fit everything onto the slide. Okay, only 4 slides remaining. I thought this would be full of sleeping students this time.
That's a great slide.
It's good for that.
I know.
Okay, I'm going to talk about dual enrollment because that is my area of expertise. So I sort of have to talk about it. And it actually pertains, do you have any younger students, younger children that are entering high school or?
Oh, no.
No?
No, this is a
Okay.
great piece. That's better be all we have.
Okay. So I'll briefly talk about it because it's not very applicable right now.
Okay.
Dual enrollment is the agreement that we have with the local high schools where you're taking high school classes, but they're actually college level courses and you're receiving college credit at the same time as receiving high school credit. We also have an early pathways early pathways where you actually leave high school with an associate's degree. So you can then essentially transfer right out of high school,
Wow.
and you're starting college at the junior level, which means you can continue with an accelerated pace of academics, or you can lighten your load and take that time to kind of, get situated with college life and not have to take 15 credits in a semester. You can kind of slow it down. So it's a really great opportunity. Talk a little bit about admissions and advising. We have academic advising for each academic program. We have assistance in exploring academic and career interests. We have a whole career counseling staff. There's advising on four-year college university transfer process. Down 2 below, you'll see they're actually in the process of hiring a full-time transfer advisor. I think our previous transfer advisor kind of bounced between transfers and academic, and kind of has to do both. So this person is solely transfer advisor. We have faculty advising, guidance through the admission process, and assistance in finding college resources you need to succeed. Mostly, you can do it in person, you can go to admissions, but the website has been geared to answer almost any question you can possibly have about PVCC. We've gotten rid of mostly all of our paper, and we're just trying to push people to the website. Okay, steps to enrollment. Upon high school completion, the first thing you do is you go to PVCC's website and you apply. There's a link there that says apply. You click it and it actually gives you step-by-step instructions on the application process. It takes most people about 10 minutes to complete. Next, you want to apply for financial aid, which we talked about, which was the FAFSA's website. You fill out the FAFSA form, that gets sent to PVCC. You have your official transcripts from your high school sent over. A lot of people forget to do that, it's very important. You take the VPT, the Virginia Placement Test. Meet with an advisor who evaluates your placement test scores, looks at your high school transcript, and says, this is what I would recommend the program of study that you take, and these are the courses I think you can handle your first semester. That's mostly done during SOAR sessions, which are student orientation, advising, and registration. You'll also register for your classes in that SOAR session. You'll bring the students into the classroom. We have a projector similar to this. We have a student at the time go through and actually choose classes in front of them so they can see the process, and then we stay there and kind of help them through, guide them through the entire process of registering the classes. Then you pay for your classes, which you can do, once again, on the PVCC website. There's a quick pay link, so you don't have to come in and go to the cashier's office. You can simply pay online, and then purchase your books. So why transfer? One reason, tuition costs. A transfer student saves an average of $15,945 compared to a four-year public college. That's if you go to PVCC 2 years and then transfer to that public college as opposed to going to the public college for 4 years. At a private college, it's $42,263. Transitions, some students might be wary of taking college-level courses while living away from home. It can be overwhelming, and I know that, I speak from experience. So at PVCC, you can sort of experience half of it, the academic side, and still either live at home or at least close by. The average class size at PVCC is 16 students, while intro classes at four-year colleges are really large, at least mine were. At UVA, intro to chemistry class, I think, has around 300 students. and some students just prefer smaller, more intimate classes, and they require that attention from an instructor that they really can't get in large lectures. And then when you transfer, you're in higher level courses, so you transfer to UVA, for example, who has the 300 students in the lecture halls. They're smaller classes then, so you continue the high school size classrooms the whole way up. Academic flexibility, PVCC offers 3 campus, day-night weekend classes, numerous online classes, part-time, full-time opportunities, with financial aid available for both full-time and part-time students. And so, in conclusion, why transfer? There's really no answer, to be honest. Some students want to experience life at a 4-year college, and that's great. That's what I wanted to do when I completed high school, and I did it, and I wasn't really quite ready, and I left. But some kids can handle it, and that's awesome, more power to them. Others might not be able to or want to pay the tuition. Some might have family responsibilities. They might have someone they're taking care of. They have to stay close to home. There are lots of different reasons. Some kids just might not feel ready or might want the flexibility that community colleges offer. So for all those reasons, transferring is a really good option for them. And now I'm done with my presentation. Do you
All right.
want to chime in? Or?
Well, I will share with you the transfer guide that we provide to students who are interested in transfer. Who are interested in transferring from community college to the 4-year school. So generally speaking, this is specific to JMU, but we can maybe extrapolate this out because it's a guaranteed agreement. So there's really nothing secretive about this process. The contract between JMU and PVCC is on our website. You can look at the full contract with the signatures of the presidents, so nothing is in the dark. There is a letter of intent that the students need to complete and submit along with their application that indicates that they have completed the 17 or so items that they need to complete, and some of them are really non-factors. We don't accept CLEP, so if they took CLEP and they got credit for colleges, for courses as part of their associate's degree, they're not eligible for the GAA. If they've repeated more than 2 classes that they got a C- or lower in, they're not eligible for the GAA anymore. So there's a number of items that they have to complete. They're supposed to get one course in each of the 4 core areas: math, lab science, English language, foreign language, speech, and then a social science at the time that they apply. The guaranteed admissions agreement is, again, they'll have completed almost, or be in the process of completing 60 hours, so it'll be 1 semester from completing their associate's degree. If they've done all of that, they have the 3.0, they submit the letter of intent, it's been signed, the advisors looked at it, they're guaranteed it if they fulfill all the requirements. So it really is too hard to believe it's true. It is true if they fulfill all of those requirements. Now, there really is no reason or no room for interpretation on the points that they have to be completing, but there's sometimes that seems to be the biggest issue is the students will submit a letter of intent and have a 2.5, but they know that they're going to have a 3.0 at the time that they finish their associate's degree. So all of those requirements are at the time that they apply. The other thing, just swinging off of the GAA, we have priority is given to students who are completing the GAA or an associate's degree. Those are because they've got 60 hours done. They are at the top. We have an agreement. We guarantee that if they meet those requirements, they get in. But there are an awful lot of students that have 2 years done. Maybe they're at 45 credit hours, have straight A's. They're still very competitive. This isn't the only way to transfer from PVCC to a 4-year school. There are a lot of very qualified students who, as we've already heard, maybe they didn't go to a four-year school right out of high school for any number of reasons, but decided to spend 1 year even at a community college and have done exceptionally well. So you have a strong high school student with a great program, great academics, good SAT scores. They go on to community college for a year, take 12 or 14 hours in each semester, and do exceptionally well. They have that 3.6 or 3, and we see them with 3.8, 4.0s, really high quality applicants. And after 1 year they apply, and they look great. And if we can get them in, we can get them in. Because they don't need to have an associate's degree to transfer, but the more credit hours you have, the more competitive you're going to be. The GAA with the community colleges and JMU is a waiver of the gen ed requirements, and that's why the degree that they have to do at those schools is so specific. They have to do general studies, and in that there are certain courses they have to do, and then they get their gen ed waiver. So they do come in at just finished sophomore status. At that point in time, then they need to get into the program. So we have advisors that are hired by JMU, and John said that they're going to be getting someone to work specifically with transfers as they move out. We have advisors that work with the various community colleges, and they're listed on the back here, that work with students that are looking to come in. So if they're at Germanna, it's Regina, she works in that Richmond area. Nova campuses is Jennifer, and then Blue Ridge, PVCC, and all the other Virginia community colleges is Kate McDaniel. And so what they do, and this is what's really important for the students to understand, is they're there to help them make good choices during their taking the associate's degree. So that they're taking classes that will actually kind of chip away at some of their requirements for their degree program. Because a guaranteed admissions agreement guarantees your admission into the university, not necessarily into a specific program of studies. So business is a big one. There are 10 prerequisites that they have to complete before they can apply to the College of Business. It's in their best interest to know what those requirements are and know what the equivalent at the community college system is, so that they're taking those courses as they can as a part of their degree program, so that when they do make the transition, they are qualified to apply to the program of study that they're looking to do. And we may not have an agreement with PVCC on this, but we have education. There's a nursing.
We have education. That's the only one.
Okay, so you have a specific program track for education.
Okay.
Blue Ridge has an engineering track and a nursing track. So there are specific courses that they have to take at PVCC that JMU is aware of. They're coming into the education program. When they finish that, they can transition smoothly right into the education track. If they differ or deviate from that plan, then, again, the contract becomes null and void. And we have a lot of students who, I had 1 C-. Well, you can't have a C-. C- doesn't transfer. And you missed by one class, so you're not eligible for the GAA, but a lot of the students are still eligible for transferring even without the GAA. I think when the GAA started 15 years ago or whatever, it was really to help the students to make that transition. I think there are an awful lot of students now that are choosing the community college route to transfer to 4-year school, that the GAA really is helpful, but it's not necessary. They're students that exceed the minimum requirements that the GAA requires. So, and that's what we typically see. They either are beyond a 3.0 or they filled out the form and they really don't qualify. And that's a difficult call to take, but at least they understand it, and then they get evaluated based on the credentials that they have. The biggest challenge on the college campuses if they don't do the GAA is that they are then done a credit by credit evaluation in our registrar's office for which courses will receive credit for the Virginia Community College System courses. Whereas with the GAA, it's a kind of a blanket gen ed's a waived, you're good to go, as long as you meet the requirements for your major.
And the credits transfer, but the grade is not, is that correct?
Generally, the class transfers,
But
the GPA does not.
I always tell my students, you start with a 4.0.
You start,
When you come
you
in,
do
I
what you
tell
do.
them that. It's up to you to keep it.
You start from scratch on that, yeah. Trying to think there was something else that I wanted to touch on. right here. Oh.
Water.
Water.
What are these,
I
yours?
think that one's
Fine.
This is yours?
this. Any questions from you? So I'll turn it over to my colleague and she can describe.
And I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I mean, Roanoke College doesn't have a guaranteed agreement, but I think one of the main points to take away is that if your student does fine in community college, they're going to be able to transfer to a lot of different options, whether that be a private school or public school. Some are more competitive than others, but they'll have options. I know for Roanoke, you do not have to have an associate's to transfer. You could transfer after a year if you wanted to. So those requirements are a little bit looser. Now, we have a 2.2 minimum GPA transfer for any transfer student. So we do have some students, that transfer from other four-year colleges and universities, but a good number that transfer from all the different Virginia community colleges too. So transfer agreements are definitely a good thing, but they also, there's other options beyond that too. So.
I want to open the floor for questions.
Sure.
Are there any questions?
Well, I'm brand new to the whole process, but like I said, I had a disabled student and her grades are not good because of her disability. She has a nonverbal learning disability, which is pretty rare. She has ADHD and she has PMDD, which is just a new diagnosis basically called pediatric bipolar. So she's very challenged academically. But what she excels at is hard, and she's going through awards for her heart. So I think it sounds like from what I'm hearing, it might be a private school that it doesn't put as much weight on those GPA scores, other than something like GMU, which just doesn't happen.
Well, and it could be, maybe that a smaller environment is better
Oh,
for
yeah,
her.
definitely, but, I mean, they said like with ADHD, it's like 100 things coming to her at once, and she has to pick out what you're really saying and what's important, so definitely the smaller class.
And the other option is a more specialized educational experience, an art institute or a school that specializes in that area where the academic component may be removed and it allows her to focus on her skills and her trade to develop that, with the focus providing as much academics as they can to educate them about the business of what they're going to be involved with rather than from a liberal arts
So
perspective.
what kind of colleges these are? Arts?
There are art institutes.
I can look some up right now.
Fashion Institute of Design in New York,
Yeah.
Parsons, that's a,
Project
Project Runway.
Yeah, there are tons of art
Several
schools.
different options. And I think one thing that's kind of key to the process too is just communicate with the transfer people at whatever step beyond that you're
before.
thinking of, so that you can kind of plan ahead and,
Right, see what they can accommodate.
and even just what you're, you don't have to make that decision, but, interested in JMU, we'll talk to, that.
Before you apply,
Yeah.
that's that
Yeah.
basic.
and I think it's important, as John indicated in the beginning, is that the community colleges for a long time got bad rap, but I think now they do a really good job of preparing students for the next step. And the students that are most successful through the community college system see beyond that next 2 years. They're saying, my goal is to go to fill in the blank.
Right.
This is what I need to get there, and I'm willing to do the work to get there. And those are the students that have the best experience and wind up going and using the community college system as a springboard to move on to the next level.
Well, I actually worked at the University of Virginia in the summer session. I've been there 32 years, and they just started a program this past summer. It's like having a transition program in the summer for like people that are coming from PVCC. They take that and they're better able to cope with the university, which I think is great. And tweaking that.
Because it is a going from a 2-year environment to a 4-year environment. There is a regardless of
Living
how
away
we
from
prepare.
home is
Yep.
probably the
Right.
biggest.
Yep, biggest
That was for
adjustment.
me right out of high school.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is the time management and, your
Yeah.
parents or guardians aren't there telling you
Yeah,
what
I'm
to
wondering
do.